Ashley Rolland and Nathan Bridges have been arrested and charged with capital murder after the body of Roland's 6-year-old son was found buried below a hallway floor inside their Arkansas home last week. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
How's it going?
It is going well. It is the week of Christmas.
I know. Wild, huh?
Also, it's almost 2023, which
Yeah.
that number just feels so like way into the future. Like, why aren't we driving spaceships yet? That I can't even hardly comprehend it. You know what I mean? Like,
Kind of need to go back and watch some episodes of the Jetsons and see,
yeah, we have
like,
screwed up,
what were they thinking about?
right? We have clearly. I do not have a Rosie the Robot clean in my house yet. Damn
Right?
it!
I don't even have an electric car. I mean, come on, get with the program. Yeah.
Right? I don't even
I don't
have
know. I
one
mean,
of
a lot
those
of people.
Roombas.
I was just gonna say, a lot of people have a Roomba. That's something. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even have one of those.
I don't think my Chihuahua's anxiety levels could handle a Roomba.
Yeah. My Chiweenie would try to murder it all day, and she would
Yep.
just be a nightmare. There's no
Right.
way.
Probably that's right. Probably my anxiety level and yours could not handle a
Right.
Roomba.
No, she
No.
would just be so spun up and barking at it. Well, both my dogs would because they hate the
Hmm.
vacuum. But any moving anything, like if we've had Mike has had like remote control cars and stuff, Zizi tries to kill them, all of them,
Oh
and
yeah.
just freaks out. So no,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
good.
Oh, these videos of people with their cats just riding around on their
Riding the
Roombas, I think they're hilarious, but I can't
Mhm.
imagine.
No.
How did you convince a cat to do that?
I have a cat that would probably do it, except that then there would be a dog on her heels at all times, and so not work.
There you go. It would be interesting. Yeah.
It would.
Well, but here we are. Yeah. So, it's wild to me that we're at the end of the year and the end of season
Mhm.
3 already, but
Yes.
we are. So,
Yeah.
which we shared I don't know, a couple weeks ago a bunch of our stats from the podcast end, not YouTube, but the podcast end of what we're doing here. And wow, we've had a lot of growth this year, a
Oh my
lot.
goodness, we
And man,
have.
we
It's
put in a lot of
amazing.
work this year.
Whew, we sure have.
The amount of
But
hours, whew,
you have no idea.
it's
But there
wild.
are there we have listeners in 45 countries, which I think is amazing. So
Yeah,
welcome all of you from wherever
yeah.
you are. That is
And
really,
thank you.
really
Yeah,
fun.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, let's go ahead and kick it off and get going with Tuesday. So, I'm going to turn the
Mhm.
mic over to you and tell me
Mhm.
what you got.
I have a missing person spotlight.
Okay.
So sometimes missing persons cases turn out good, and this one has. We
Hmm.
reported last week on university student Ken DeLand, who was from New York, who was studying in France, who just sort of disappeared. And his family was very concerned. French authorities were not really talking to them very much because he's an adult.
Hmm.
And it turns out we don't know what happened to Ken or why, but he has made contact with his parents and he was in Spain
Yep.
and is actually, I think, probably by now home. He was making, they were making arrangements to get him home
Hmm.
because he was supposed to fly home on the 15th of December. And today we're
Hmm.
recording this on the 19th.
Yeah.
And he went missing just a few days before that at the very end of his semester.
Hmm.
We don't know what's happened with Ken. We probably never will. And that's okay. The good
Hmm.
news is he's okay. His
Yeah.
parents have spoken to him. They were making arrangements just a few days
Hmm.
ago to
His
fly
mom
him
was
home.
in France at the time that and the reason he
Yes.
was found in Spain was because of the press.
Yep.
He saw an article about himself,
Yeah.
and we won't know. I I don't know. I gotta say, this is one of those cases that annoys me somewhat. That
Mhm.
it bugs me to a certain degree, and maybe this is just my nosy reporter mind, but that families go, "We have a missing person. Help us! Help us! Help us! We found them. Please respect our privacy in this, delicate time."
Right.
I'm sorry. I think the public deserves a little better explanation than that.
Yeah. And
They really slaughtered the reputation of the French police. They were very hard on them.
they were.
His dad said a lot of pretty aggressive things about the French authorities.
Mhm.
There, was a huge call to action to the media to help them get his name and face out there, which they did do, which resulted in him being found. And the second he
Yeah.
was found, it was, "Leave us alone."
Yes, it
No,
was. Yeah.
sorry, I disagree on that one. No, no.
Yeah.
At some point, and maybe
It
not
sucks
right
to not
now,
know it all, and it
but
sucks to not know why it took a
mhm,
news story of him being missing
mhm,
for him to contact his parents. Like, he not think they were gonna notice?
right.
Because he clearly had not told them where he was or what he was doing.
Was this a psychotic break? Was
Right.
this an attempt to run away from his life? Was there an
Was
actual
this
crime committed? We
an
don't know.
online love affair? You
Right.
know, there's so
But
many possibilities.
there's a few reasons why I feel like the public really should be privy to some information about this one. Partly
Mhm,
because the public bought in.
mhm.
The
It's
public
true.
bought in, the press bought in. We all jumped in and helped get the word out and help get Ken found.
Yeah.
Um, and I think there should be some
At
gratification for
least a
that.
statement
Yeah.
of, I
Yeah.
don't know, you don't have to
But
give all your personal details, but
no,
it
but
is hard when I mean, I'm very glad that he's okay,
yeah. But the other part of that, I
but
think that it is helpful because of all of the other missing persons cases. It is helpful for at least a portion of Ken's story to be told to help authorities and reporters and investigators alike to have this case to look at, to think about
mhm,
when other missing people, other people go missing.
it's a good
I
point.
think that these are things that help us to get better in finding other people. So
Right, right,
I suspect this will be forthcoming. His parents were all about the press until he was found. I
mhm,
suspect that once the dust settles and they get all this straightened out, that we'll see some interviews with some large press entities, that they
or
tell their
maybe.
story. Maybe this will end up being, the Lifetime movie of the week. Who knows?
Oh, I hope not.
But I do. I think in big cases like this that were heavily publicized, when there's a resolution to that case, it really annoys me when there's a demand from the family to leave them alone and respect their privacy. They do deserve that to some degree, but
Right,
the public also deserves
but
an
why
explanation. The
were we
public that bought
mobilized to
in.
find this guy? Why did he think
Yeah.
it was okay to disappear like that and not tell his parents where he was, or at least say,
Mhm.
"I'm okay," or
Yep.
anything, I mean, he did some very strange things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think
Very
that you have a good
scary
point.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and some of you I'm sure will disagree with me, and that's okay. We can all agree to disagree.
Sure.
But I think in cases like this, there should be a little more transparency. But again,
Mhm.
I suspect there will be. We just aren't there yet.
Mhm, it's very possible. They're just trying to get him home, figure out what the hell's going on here. That's true. But we're
Yeah.
happy it's okay. I mean,
Absolutely. So happy this didn't have such a
how
sad ending.
right. I mean, how often do these missing persons cases result in finding someone alive? Not that often, I tell you.
Not that often,
Mm,
alive or at all.
mhm.
So,
Very true. All right. Well, I'm going to kick the mic back to you for our main case.
okay. All righty. Well, with this case, unfortunately, this is our Christmas tragedy case. And
Do we
so,
always have to have one? Unfortunately, yes.
well, we've talked a lot lately that there have been so many murders of children at the hands of their parents that we've
Mhm.
a little break from them because it's just so hard to constantly report on them.
Right.
Found this case, my first, inclination was find something else.
Mhm.
This story deserves to be told, and I can see right now that we will be reporting on this in the future, and we need to open an
Right.
investigation on it on our behalf right now. So here we are. So I am very sorry to bring you guys this story, mostly for the on behalf of these children who
Yeah.
just did not even deserve any of this.
Yeah.
So Karen Roland has been trying to get some visitation, some assistance with her grandchildren for the last year. She has spent an insane amount of money in trying to get some and then enforce some visitation from Ashley Roland with these two children who are aged
Mhm.
5 and 7. And she finally has made her way through the courts and gotten an order and was trying to uh, get that order, the and pardon me, enforced last Friday.
Mhm.
There's some details that we don't know yet. So please understand how the internet works. When we report on this and you see new details come through, days later, understand that we didn't know them yet. So this is what we
Right.
know at this point. And there's some things that we just don't know yet.
Mhm.
Somehow she did manage to get the little girl, 7-year old. And when she got to the home, she was told that the 7-year old couldn't walk and that the 5-year old was sleeping over at a friend's house. How
Mhm.
often have we heard this?
Ugh.
We've heard this as young as 2-year olds that
Mhm.
they're not home right now. They're playing with a friend,
Yeah.
that were also missing or murdered. But so supposedly the 5-year old, and what I'm hearing them call him in the press is Blue.
Mhm.
I'm not going to share the 7-year old's name because she's a minor and anyway, and a victim.
Right.
But Blue was supposedly playing at a friend's house. So Grandma gets the 7-year old little girl into her car and realizes that she is in very scary condition. She's unable to walk. Her scalp is covered in serious burns.
Mm.
And Grandma goes straight to the hospital with her. Of course.
Mhm.
Of course. And what they discover at the hospital is that this child is malnourished. She has broken bones. She has some
Mm.
serious wound infections. She is in really rough shape. And so obviously the police are contacted and the police go to the home. And in the home, they discover under the floorboards in the hall a deceased child, Blue, the 5-year old. And they call in the state police. This is the statement that they had made. Let me pull that up. I think I shared a portion of that in the intro video, but I want to pull up their whole statement. This is what they said on Facebook. The body of a 6-year old, he's actually 5, was discovered buried below a hallway floor inside a Lee County home last night. That was December 16th. Special agents of the Arkansas State Police Criminal Investigation Division were called to the scene by Lee County's deputies around 10:45 p.m. Agents are also investigating injuries believed to be burns to the scalp sustained by a 6-year old. We believe she's actually 7, who also lived in the same home located in the Morrow community west of Marianna. Ashley Roland, 28, the mother of the children, and Nathan Bridges, 33, have been arrested by the state police and are being held at the Lee County Jail. Both are charged with capital murder, abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and endangering the welfare of a minor.
Mm.
Based on initial findings, it's believed the boy died from injuries sustained in the home, possibly 3 months ago.
Oh my god.
The state medical examiner will determine the manner and cause of death. So we don't know manner and cause of death yet, but we will shortly, I think. But
Mhm.
yes, he has been deceased for at least 3 months and has been buried under the floorboards of their home.
My god.
There's a GoFundMe that a friend set up for Grandma to help with all of the costs that are going to be associated here. Grandma has been given emergency custody of the little girl.
Thank God.
They should have happened a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, but she also is, they're doing a GoFundMe to help cover the costs of burying this poor little boy. So, but there's a couple of things about the GoFundMe that they are providing some updates. So, I'll share the initial GoFundMe. It was put together by a woman named Anita. She's a friend of Karen's. She says, "My friend Karen has been trying to get custody of her grandchildren for over a year. She went through the proper channels, and 3 months ago, she had to pay a ridiculous amount of money, but just got her court order this week for her to see the kids every weekend. She showed up to get her grandchildren, ages 5 and 7, Friday, and was told that the youngest was at a friend's house and the oldest couldn't walk. She immediately took her to the hospital, where she was then transferred, I believe, to a children's hospital with severe injuries and burns. I saw her. This child's hair has been chopped off. She is malnourished, cracked ribs, and many other burns on her body in various stages of healing.
Mm.
These injuries are presumed to be from her mother and mother's boyfriend. Later, Karen was notified that the youngest child's decomposing body had been found. These children have endured so much pain, neglect, and now death. I desperately want to help lessen the financial burden that burial for the youngest and items needed for the oldest will present. There have been
Mhm.
there's so much healing to do, and I want us to come together and remove one burden from Karen's plate." So that's what the initial GoFundMe said. She's provided two updates. The first of which was yesterday. She said that she has a fever but had an okay night. Some of her wounds were infected, other fractures are more painful.
Mm.
And then today she updated the GoFundMe again with a picture. And so I'm going to put a link to the GoFundMe. You guys can go check it out and help if you can. I'll put that in the show notes. This is a picture of the burns after surgery. And my God, I can't even imagine what they did to her.
Mm.
Uh, Looked horrible before, lots of pain, not wrapped now because she's going in for a CAT scan,
Mm.
which tells us she may also have a head injury.
Mhm.
Uh, she said, fell back asleep and is now sleeping. It hurt after they took the bandages off. They had to come off to do a CAT scan on her chest and head. Second CAT scan found fluid on the brain, and they are now looking at her spine. She's already had 3 x-rays done that were a hard ordeal, with 3 broken ribs, fractured wrist, leg, and oh, fractured wrist and leg, burns
Mm.
on other parts of her body, head to toe injuries, bite marks, all kinds of trauma. Still no telling what the brother went through. We are waiting to hear. And that was just today.
God Almighty.
These children were living in a house of hell.
They sure were.
This is the house. We don't
Mm.
know how in the hell this was allowed to go on as long as it was. We do know that grandma has been fighting for a year to get these kids at least seen by another human adult,
Right.
and unfortunately, it was a little too late considering that poor little Blue has been murdered.
Mm.
And here we are. So that's the story as we know it. Now, of course, we do know that the mother and the boyfriend have been arrested. There's been some misinformation in this case, unfortunately, that started on the part of the Arkansas police
Mm.
because in their initial report that went out to social media, they spelled her last name wrong. It's
Oh.
Roland with 2 L's,
Oh.
but they spelled it Roland with 1 L, which unfortunately resulted in some YouTube, some bloggers, some true crimers, and news agencies searching that name, Ashley Roland with one L, and
Mhm.
finding pictures of an Ashley Roland in Arkansas, spelled with one L, and her boyfriend, and publishing those photos
Oh, dear.
of the wrong people. And that Ashley Roland is deceased.
Oh, God. Oh,
And that was
no.
horrifically upsetting to her family.
Of course.
And, but also, yeah, so there's been some retractions made and some now correct photos shown, which is important, of course. But that happened, which is bad, just
Yeah.
so bad, but mistakes do happen, unfortunately. But now we know that some people started coming out going, "Oh, that's not her. I went to high school with her. You've got the wrong picture. You've got the wrong people
Mhm.
here." And they started putting two and two together. But unfortunately, sharing pictures and accusing a dead woman of murder is pretty upsetting to her family. So
Sure is.
it's one of
Oh,
those times that we have to be absolutely certain that we have the right, stuff. And
right.
like I said, they were going off of the names that were shared to them by law enforcement.
Right. I mean, that's pretty tough when
Mhm.
that's we've seen it happen when it's just, somebody looking up on social media, but when it's the
Sure.
police giving the wrong name, oh, that's
Yeah.
rough.
So this is them. These are the right photos
Okay.
of them. And of course, her name is Ashley Roland. His name is Nathan Bridges. Ashley's 28. Nathan is 33.
Mm.
Still waiting to learn more about where dad is.
Yeah.
There was some talk that dad actually has been unable to get the custody, to have visitation, and that grandma was supposed to be supervising visitation,
Mhm.
and that Ashley has just refused to let him have any visitation. And that's where all of these court proceedings began. I don't know
Mm.
that for sure. That is a bit of a rumor. So take that with a
So
grain
is
of salt.
grandma dad's mother then?
I believe that's true.
Okay.
I believe that's true. But take that with a grain of salt too, because there's quite a bit we don't know. But from reports that I've read, I believe that's the case. But again, we're waiting to know more. Um, the next thing we'll probably hear is the mode and manner in which little Blue died, and perhaps how long he's been deceased.
Yeah. Mm.
So, but we'll be keeping track of our poor little in the hospital, of how she's doing. So again, in the show notes, there is a GoFundMe. I know it's a week before Christmas, but if you can help even a little for Blues services, that would be helpful.
For
Also,
sure.
this is a GoFundMe that we have verified is legit. So if you see other GoFundMes for this case, be really, really wary of them. Unfortunately, that has become a way that
Mhm.
internet crime
Scammers.
has been happening in people either creating a tragedy and starting a GoFundMe for it, that never
Mhm.
actually happened, or in attaching themselves to a tragedy and starting a GoFundMe for a family they don't even know who never see that money.
Right.
So that
Mm.
even happens in cases where a family member starts a GoFundMe and then never gives the money to the people that they were GoFundMeing for. It's
Right.
unfortunately become a serious source of fraud.
Mhm.
In
It
this
is.
case, I believe this is accurate and true. And you can also get updates on the condition of the little one through that GoFundMe, because Anita has been sharing those things. So
Sure.
we'll provide those. All of our love goes out to the Roland family at this time, and
Absolutely.
thank goodness our little one is now in good hands and receiving the medical that she needs.
Yes.
And hopefully, we'll get a visit from Santa at the hospital too. Yeah, and we're sure sad and sorry for little Blue. He never deserved this.
Certainly not. My God.
So, Kristi, with that, I'm going to turn the mic back over to you for our final segment.
You bet. Well, there's been a precedent set in the Nathan Crumbly school shooting in which his parents were arrested and charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. And we've been
Hmm.
saying for a while now that that was landmark precedent setting type action in the criminal justice system, and we're seeing it again.
Yeah.
You may remember Robert Crimo. We called him Robert Crimo because he's an asshole. Um,
Mhm.
he killed 7 people at a 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois,
Yep.
just this year. Well, prosecutors in Chicago have now charged his father um,
Yeah.
with felonies,
Yeah.
claiming that he acted recklessly when he signed on to his son's application for a gun ownership permit. So,
Yep.
7 counts of reckless conduct filed against the father, Robert Crimo Jr., right? Robert Crimo III is the shooter.
Yeah.
Robert Crimo Jr. is the father.
Mhm.
And this is about the second time this has ever happened.
Yeah. And it
Um,
should.
yeah,
We've
it
been asking
absolutely should.
from day 1.
Why is this not happening? It,
And why? How in the hell
yeah,
would you provide this person with access to a gun knowing how dangerous he was? Because he did know how dangerous he was.
he did. He did. Eric Reinhardt, who is the prosecutor on this case, said people bear responsibility when they recklessly endanger others.
Mhm.
He claimed that the father knew about a series of concerning episodes involving his son before he signed the gun application permit,
Yeah.
and that endorsing that application was reckless because, hell yes, it was. He said the government is not typically going to know more than a parent about what's going on with an 18, 19, or 20-year-old, right?
Yep. This is the boy who had made the music videos of himself shooting up a school.
Oh, good Lord.
This is the kid
Terrifying.
who had drawn the picture on the side of their house of him carrying out a shooting.
Right.
This is the kid who had had the police at their house multiple times for violent behavior.
Yeah.
And then his dad signed off on an application for him to receive firearms.
Yeah.
Wh-
And then he
What?
went to a 4th of July parade and he shot dozens of people,
Hmm.
wounding many and killing 7.
Yeah. Actions that he'd been promising to do for months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he did them.
So, Creamer the Elder, who
Hmm.
is a deli owner in Highland Park, and at one point ran unsuccessfully for mayor.
Yeah.
His attorney, George Gomez, says the charges against his client are baseless and unprecedented. And yet, no, they are not
Nope.
unprecedented. Just take a look at the Crumblies.
We're going to see more and more of this, as well we should.
Yeah,
If you people are going to keep putting guns in the hands of your mentally ill, dangerous children, our law enforcement system is done with you.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This defense attorney also said this decision should alarm every single parent in the United States of America. Why, yes, it should. Why, yes, it should.
Hmm.
That you are responsible for arming someone who goes out and murders people when you know that they are unstable, when you know there have threats been made. You cannot just go help your unstable young men buy guns and then they go shoot up people.
Yep. And then we
This
act
is
so
not
surprised.
unprecedented, and we hope that this
No.
continues to happen.
Oh, look at Sandy Hook.
Right,
That woman put every gun thinkable in that kid's hands.
right.
And it cost her her life, but it also
It did.
cost a school full of kindergartners theirs and little
Yeah,
children and teachers
yeah.
and so many others. I mean, come
So
on.
many others. These
The
parents
basic,
know.
absolutely, and the basic rules of gun ownership are that your
Right.
guns are locked up, trigger locks, guns and ammo are stored in different locations from each other, and all are locked up, and that you use great discretion in who has access to your guns.
And if you know that someone in your home is actively struggling with their mental health,
Hmm.
actively struggling with thoughts of committing violence, you know what you do? You get those guns out of your damn house. That's what you do.
Absolutely, and you get them help
Yep.
because that's the other thing we're not seeing.
Right. The answer to this young man's violent videos and threats was to help him buy guns?
Yeah.
Really? I'm here for it. I'm here for it over and over and over again.
Hmm.
This is what needs to happen.
Yep.
One of the things that will help stop school shootings is
Absolutely.
realize they will be liable if they continue to provide access to weapons to someone whom they know to be dangerous.
Absolutely. 1000% yes.
Mm.
Alrighty. Well, this has been our Tuesday episode. We will be back tomorrow on Wednesday for our last episode of the year. Don't miss it. You don't want
Please
to.
don't.
We're going to go out with a bang and a laugh. You'll love
Mhm.
this episode. I love it.
You
We
will.
haven't even recorded it yet, and I love
Yep,
it already.
me too.
Also, we'll be back Wednesday night for case updates, and we'll be back directly after that for the cold read party. If you are a subscriber to our
Mhm.
channel, we will give you a case to cold read and open the floor for you to give us some cases to cold read. It's always a really
Mhm.
interesting time spent together.
It is.
And then we're on break until the new year. And then
Yay!
we'll be kicking off season 4. We have some
Mhm.
brand new segments planned for you.
Yes, we do.
And on that note, if there's any new segments that you think would be great for us or that you'd love to see us do, make a suggestion. I
Mhm.
can't promise we'll do it, but we'll definitely consider it.
Right. Yes, we
Yeah,
will.
absolutely. All right. Well, please take good care of yourselves. Go have a Christmas cookie.
Mhm.
You know you deserve it. And have a wonderful, wonderful day. And please go check out that GoFundMe and keep the Roland family in your prayers. They sure need it.
Absolutely.
This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad. Take care.
Bye, everybody.